Assalamu alaikum. This is Nimra from CxO Global Forum. And CxO Global Forum is an emerging knowledge sharing platform for C levels. And today we have with us our honorable member, Mr. Mustafa Ramzan. He has a diversified career of 18 years in FMCG, telecom, and digital financial inclusion. He is now consulting in digital financial inclusion and digital transformation in addition to e-commerce, brand management, and digital marketing. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Sir, how are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Sir, सबसे पहले I want you to tell us more about yourself and about your academic career.
Okay. Academic or career? They're both.
Both.
Okay. Academics and career.
Hmm.
Wonderful. Well, I did my undergrad degree in economics. And then I went to IBA Karachi for a degree in MBA, obviously. And it was a banking program which IBA used to run in collaboration with Citibank. So we had the honor of being taught mostly by the Citi bankers. But after studying banking, I decided to continue with FMCG. So my first job was with an FMCG company, and I held roles in sales, market research, and brand management. And this is the time when ICT revolution, this is about 2008-9, and if you recall, around 2005, ICT revolution had just begun to take place. Especially 2005 onwards, when both Telenor and Warid, they entered the market. There was a telecom boom being seen. Tele-density was on the rise. Telcos were fighting with each other in their bid to gain more market share. So in those happening times, I switched from FMCG to telecom with Telenor, in fact, and I used to manage their brands, most of their brands, not all of them, except DJuice, the Telenor family brands. What I can recall from my happening stint with Telenor is the repositioning of the corporate brand under the Karo Mumkin theme. And then I took a lateral move to mobile financial services business. And I used to lead the marketing function of EasyPesa. And from there, I ended up with UBL Omni, which was actually the second pioneer player in the digital financial inclusion space / branchless banking. So with UBL, I actually, that's the time when I got close to technology, had the opportunity to develop products on a digital platform, understood the role of regulation, compliance, KYC, back-end, front-end, operations. This was all new for me. So about 6.5 years with UBL, and towards the end of my stint with UBL, I also worked on the current digital banking app, UBL Digital. I was part of the team that was managing that project more as a leader with respect to that project. And then around 2013, so I have this insatiable, thirst or hunger to continuously learn new things. So 2013 onwards, I started traveling again for knowledge. And that's my idea of layer and player also, travel for knowledge. So I attended programs in US on digital payments, big data. And so 2013 and 14 was sort of, ice breaking for me. And then 17 and 18, I happened to, be both at Harvard Kennedy and Harvard Business School to do focus programs on financial inclusion, microfinance, and digital finance. Yeah, and one of the most interesting things I can recall from that experience is impact investing. Yeah, there were a couple of interesting case studies on impact investing.
Hmm.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Sir, what was the vision and goal behind to start your career in financial inclusion or to choose this specific area? What was the vision?
Okay, the vision was, and I think I owe it to Telenor, that they gave us the opportunity to understand the space when they were diversifying and planning to get into mobile financial services business.
Hmm.
So if you look at the World Bank Findex numbers, and there are a number of other demand side surveys,
Hmm.
Pakistan used to rank. I'm intentionally saying it used to because things have begun to improve, though
Hmm.
not at an ideal level. But I think we are now on the right track, and next 10 years are going to be
Hmm.
very happening. But back then, 2008, 9 level of financial inclusion was probably less than 10%, you know.
Hmm.
So people did not have access to finance, access to financial services. And I think the launch of branchless banking in this country, microfinance was there. It had been
Hmm.
trying, but I think the likes of Easy Pesa and Jazz Cashes and
Hmm.
UBL Only and now HBL Connect, now everyone around us, among our maids and drivers and cooks, they have their Jazz account or
Yes.
Easy Pesa account.
Hmm.
You know, so we can see it around the kind of change Pakistan has seen in last 10 years. And last year, yeah, 2019 only, State Bank launched first country's first ever national payment system
Hmm.
strategy. There are a number of credit guarantee companies being launched: Pakistan Credit Guarantee Company, Pakistan Mortgage Refinance Company. To idea again is to focus on improving the lending to vulnerable segments of the society. Just I think last week, State Bank has rolled out and sought feedback on the gender equality strategy, because on gender financial inclusion we also
Hmm.
lag behind compared to our peer countries, our countries that are similar to us. Yep. So I think the vision was all kind of learned by doing, how MNCs and some other local players were trying to tap into this gap. And now I think we are on the right track. State Bank will launch hopefully very soon micro payment gateway. That will be another milestone. This is
Hmm.
all in line with the national payment system strategy.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay. Sir,
exciting times.
about tell us about your clients. Who are they? Who are your clients?
Okay, so I worked full time till about from 2002 to 2017
Hmm.
with FMCG, telecom, and digital financial inclusion slash digital banking. But then towards the end of 2017, I kind of started freelancing.
Hmm.
So my first client was Gatron Group. They wanted to launch a retail pharmacy, branded pharmacy chain in Karachi.
Hmm.
So I worked with the CEO to help him launch the product,
Hmm.
the brand. Okay, again, this is where the brand marketeer in me was like,
Hmm.
got an opportunity to sort of, show them what can be done, and also, focus on the e-commerce aspect of Dabago.
Hmm.
So that was that. Then I also got the opportunity to work on the digital finance strategy of Pakistan Microfinance Investment Company,
Hmm.
PMIC. PMIC is a apex microfinance body. They do wholesale lending to the microfinance sector. Their shareholders include DFID, KFW, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Government of Pakistan also.
Great. Hmm.
So I worked almost 6 months with them, trying to look at some use cases, how digital finance can be, introduced in the microfinance sector, so that microfinance can, reach out to customers more efficiently
Hmm.
than how they're doing currently. Use of AI algorithms to do credit scoring, and yep. So from customer onboarding, credit scoring, and then they have then they have an interesting concept called Microfinance Plus,
Hmm.
which is focused on beyond lending, how entities like PMIC and MFIs and MFBs can work for the borrowers and provide them with access to information, access to inputs. Now, this could be agri inputs, this could be inputs for people who are into swing, something females, who do
Hmm.
swing, and make all those embroidery,
Yes.
are
Hmm.
into embroidery based stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, so access to information, access to inputs,
Yes.
and access to markets,
Hmm.
you know, in addition to. So the idea was, how can all this be digitized?
Yes.
So they have been doing some pilots, and I think they're on the right track to make it happen one day.
Hmm.
End-to-end digitization.
Okay. Sir, please
Yeah.
explain.
uh,
Hmm.
Yeah, sorry. So other than PMIC, I'll quickly cover my clients. So I've done a consulting project for Karandas.
Karandas. Hmm.
They wanted to understand, they'd spend millions of dollars on researching in Pakistan, especially in the digital financial inclusion space. So after the strategic review by McKinsey,
Hmm.
they still wanted to know more about how research has had any impact on 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 what Karandaj is trying to do, as a catalyzer and ecosystem builder.
Hmm.
I've also worked during 2020 on a World Bank project.
Hmm.
This is again, it was a multi-country project, and World Bank had been supporting the central banks and their SECPs in countries focused on capacity building, technical advisory. So all of these initiatives that you're seeing now in terms of national payment system strategy, creation of PCGC, PMRC, operationalization of the National Financial Inclusion Secretariat, and there are a number of areas. There are a host of
Hmm.
them. All of that, has been kind of contributed to by World Bank. So World Bank wanted to do an impact assessment.
Hmm.
So I teamed up with a classmate of mine from Harvard Kennedy School, and
Okay.
we've just completed that assessment in 8 countries.
Great.
That was that. I've also had clients among fintechs and startups, and we'll talk about in detail about them.
Okay, sir, how was your experience if you compare Pakistan and those other 8 countries in terms of fintech? How was your experience?
So I think in terms of fintech, Pakistan, as you know, our IT talent is known globally.
Hmm.
Be it our IT exports, or the share of Pakistanis among the freelancers.
Hmm.
I mean, Pakistani talent is unique.
Hmm.
We have been known as a country of doctors and engineers,
Yes.
but I think now the world is beginning to discover what promise we offer in the IT context. So, in terms of fintechs, I think there are a number of them,
Hmm.
and they face many challenges
Hmm.
because banks actually in Pakistan sit in a very comfortable position.
Hmm.
They are not forced really to lend to common Pakistanis.
Hmm. So, what is the
Now,
future, if we discuss future of fintech in Pakistan, and what are the steps government need to take for the betterment of fintech in Pakistan?
I think it's a very good question. So, part of the argument is that banks do not lend to the private sector.
Hmm.
But that banks also have a counter argument.
Hmm.
They say that if we lend, we are not sure if the country laws will permit us to recover.
Hmm.
So the bankruptcy laws, especially Supreme Court has just vetted the Lahore High Court judgment on foreclosure laws.
Hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly if it is foreclosure laws or bankruptcy laws, but this is with respect to mortgage finance.
Hmm.
So generally, I think where fintechs can add value, and banks should partner with them, focus on digital lending. So we have a success story in the form of Finja.
Hmm.
Finja has successfully managed to enter into partnership with Finca. Then recently, they've done it with Mizan Bank. Similarly, there is another AI-based platform called CreditFix. So as far as digital lending is concerned, which is the most difficult use case to solve, there are these two startups.
Hmm.
There, there are now there's a new category of fintechs called EMIs.
Hmm.
As you know, EMI regulatory regime was rolled out by State Bank of Pakistan during 2019, if I'm not mistaken, or early 2020. So we have seen a host of EMIs, but they're still in the early phase of pilot rollout.
Hmm.
So they have to show what they're capable of. They definitely have technology, but they need to comply with state bank regulations and somehow tap into the huge potential that this market offers.
Hmm.
Then there are some promising startups in the area of payments. PhonePe was one of them. I don't know what's happening with them, but PayPro, QuickPay,
Hmm.
Hobel. So Hobel has lately been focusing on supply chain payments and P2G payments. Yep. So I think there are a number of them, and similarly, I think there will be synergies if these fintechs work together uh, with, say, for example, B2B e-commerce entities like Tajis and the bazaars and Retailer of Pakistan, you know. So I think there are synergies between fintechs and these startups that if they have data on retailers, they can map their cash flows
Hmm.
and do cash flow based lending, and so that MSME finance can become an attractive asset class.
Hmm. Okay. Sir, how do you see startups in Pakistan?
So startups in Pakistan, again, we are a developing country,
Hmm.
and we also have a country. We also, as a country, we also have a perception issue.
Hmm.
You know, so given those constraints, I think, if I recall correctly, last year, Pakistani startups were able to raise around $20 million.
Hmm.
I recently heard this figure at 0 to 1 Disrupt. So different people are trying to do different things. I think the big story, although it's not Pakistani origin story, I mean, it did not originate from Pakistan,
Hmm.
but Kareem, I think to some extent we can say is
Yes.
part in
Kareem,
Pakistan.
Baikia. Yes.
Kareem, Baikia, similarly, आपकी जो है वो Zameen.com,
Hmm.
Parkfield, some of these
Yes.
entities have gone global also.
Hmm.
So we have had those kind of success stories, which are like big. And then Daraz PK is another case
Hmm.
study, another success story, which was that Alibaba found it attractive enough
Hmm.
to invest in it, and now they're trying to take it to the next level. So I think there's a lot of stuff happening in silos,
Hmm.
and next year alone, I think there will be 100 million internet users.
Hmm.
So between e-commerce, social commerce, digital payments, digital lending, we should see some success stories in next 3 to 5 years in Pakistan for sure.
Inshallah, inshallah. Okay, sir, I was going through to your LinkedIn profile, and then I saw that you are a traveler as well. You love to travel. So when you go other places, Do you feel that fintech or these apps, Jazz Cash and Easy Pesa, are providing benefits in terms of you get discounts by scanning QR codes, etc., on different restaurants, and if you get mobile charge, etc. Are these apps are providing benefits as well?
Absolutely, I think fintechs is a global trend now,
Hmm.
and it's part and parcel of the fourth industrial revolution.
Hmm.
They have challenged the status quo, and banks world over now are partnering with fintechs to solve these use cases that you were referring to, especially with respect to
Hmm.
payments, e-commerce, etc. And so this is a global trend now, and Pakistan is just part of the same space.
Hmm.
And I mean, and then there are digital native banks also,
Hmm.
the new banks or the challenger banks. So banking is also kind of re-innovating itself.
So you see the banking transformation in Pakistan, how banks are transforming in Pakistan.
I think banks are relatively, I think banks are, although the banking industry in Pakistan is
Hmm.
quite mature, but in terms of adoption of tech, because banks tend to be legacy organizations, they operate at a large scale, especially the top, say, 5 to 10 banks.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's not easy to adopt change. It takes time.
Hmm.
So, I think what they have managed to achieve in the last 10 years or so is, for example, find the right talent,
Hmm.
invest in talent. For what was, if I compare how it was 10 years ago, so before and then and now, so for example, most of the leading banks in Pakistan now have digital banking apps.
Hmm.
So that's one thing I can see. I mean, this is
Hmm.
the only visible difference that I can link, I mean, banking to. And so they have digital, I think digital banking apps is one. Maybe they have invested in their call centers. But in terms of lending, I think
Hmm.
that's where the industry will focus on next 10 years.
Hmm.
Because we are such a large millennial population, and as these guys become part of the labor force, they're freelancing, and some of the EMIs actually have identified these use cases as to how they can tap into freelancers market, lend them against the salary. How can they process their remittances at a much lesser transaction fees than how much these kids they have to pay to the payment processing entities. Uh, yeah, so I think the basic infrastructure is there now, but digital lending and digital payments is something, again, micropayments gateway, once State Bank
Hmm.
launches it, they've also launched a tiered KYC based digital onboarding of merchants. So imagine today POS POS network is around what? Not more than 40,000 places.
Hmm.
Maximum, I think 45,000 POS are deployed. So imagine if QR code based payments are accepted at
Hmm.
500,000 outlets. So digital payments will come into play only then. So the
Hmm.
supply side has to be there. And then digital lending, I think, will be a make or break.
Hmm.
And that's where banks need to invest in the technology and talent and work on their processes. Otherwise, I think they can face a stiff competition from fintechs.
Hmm. Sir, if we talk about e-commerce, we are still using cash on delivery payment systems. If the two areas, fintech and e-commerce, collaborate with each other, isn't it a good point? Because cash on delivery is the traditional option that we are still using.
You are spot on. I think e-commerce entities have been working on it at their end as well.
Hmm.
And if you look at Daraz, I think uh, I conducted an interview about This was back in 2018 for, this is when I was doing that project with Karandaz. So we interviewed the RAS PK team. So I think they had digitized about 40% of the value back then. So you can do IBFT, you
Yes.
can move funds to a closed loop, the RAS wallet. So they have been trying. Similarly, home shopping, I know Shayan personally. So he doesn't do COD, you know. So yes, COD is there, but there's one interesting development in the pipeline, and this entity called which kind of similar to OneLink, they process our check. Yeah, NIFT. NIFT is actually working on an e-commerce gateway whereby you won't need your debit card.
Okay.
Today, that activation of debit card is a challenge.
Yes.
You know, so one has to strike a balance between security and convenience.
Yes.
So the banking industry, is more focused on customer security than convenience. So hence activation of debit card is a bit of a challenge and customer experience is not that great. So people end up, opting for COD. But I think what NIFT is working on is a direct debit from your account, one's account. They are in the process of doing a pilot. And I think in the next 12 to 24 months, if such a solution goes live, so they'll be able to, then you'll be able to pay from your account directly. So that can be a game changer. Like I said, we, as much as we complain, Pakistan में ये नहीं हो रहा, बातें बहुत हो रही हैं, but बहुत सारा काम, be it SBP, be it SCCP, World Bank, Karandaz, बहुत सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं पिछले 5 साल से, बहुत काम हो रहा है. But I think things are in the pipeline and next 2-3 years is, I think we're about to.
सर काम तो बहुत हो रहा है, लेकिन आई थिंक एक इशू ये भी है कि आवर जनरल पब्लिक जो है वो इतनी ज्यादा अवेयर नहीं है. अपॉर्चुनिटीज आर देयर, बट अब जैसे हमारी कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री है या रूरल एरियाज में विमेन घर बैठे हाथ से जो काम करती हैं वो काम कर रही हैं, लेकिन शायद इंटरनेट एक्सेस नहीं है या उनको अवेयरनेस नहीं है या उनको पेमेंट सिस्टम्स का इतना पता नहीं है. तो अपॉर्चुनिटीज आर देयर, बट हाउ वी कैन मेक पीपल फाइनेंशियली इनेबल्ड और लिटरेट. दैट्स द पॉइंट कि हम उनको फाइनेंशियली लिटरेट, बिकॉज अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो हैं लेकिन उनको अवेल कैसे करना है, शायद यहाँ पे जो है हम लोग को फोकस करना है.
You are spot on. Financial inclusion की actually 3 dimensions हैं in theory: access, usage, and quality, and which pertains to awareness and knowledge. So you are actually referring to financial literacy. इस पे भी SPP has an agenda. They have been pursuing it. अब imagine करें the amount of advertising we have seen in last 10 years through Easy Paisa, Jazz, UBL Omni, and HBL Connect, and now UPaisa. Okay, so that is financial literacy. Like I said, if you look at branches banking newsletter, there are, yes, most of those accounts are not active, but there are 40 million branches banking accounts. So I think things will happen, but not at a pace that we expect it to happen. It's a function of what we have been for what we were like, say, 10 years ago as a country, and then पिछले 10 साल में जो काम हुआ है, उसकी पेस बहुत स्लो थी. अब अगले 5 साल में जो काम होगा, so we'll hit that trajectory, inshallah.
Okay, sir, one last question. Thank you so much for joining us today, and it was really informative conversation. Sir, you are a member of CxO Global Forum. What kind of change did you feel in your professional life after joining the forum?
I think first and foremost, getting connected with such an enlightened and community of who's who and achievers. That's one. Secondly, knowledge sharing.
Yes.
One tends to learn a lot from each other. And thirdly, you can kind of solve problems on the go. If there is a problem, if there is a certain use case, you are looking for an expert in a certain context, you just have to post a message in the group and X number of people will reach out to you. And there is that
Great.
sense of and it's not as if you're talking to a stranger, you know. You feel connected as if you already know that person. You don't have to uh, pass through any barrier of
Yes.
introducing yourself and ice breaking and then start your conversation. So I think the credit goes to CxO team overall, including you, and I think our CEO Kamal, he's gem of a guy,
Yes.
and he's created this ecosystem, and he's pursuing a certain vision, and I think this is the one of the best things that can happen to the country. And like you said, knowledge and awareness
Yes.
is an
And
issue.
man is a social animal, so we need to connect with each other to to survive.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. You see,
Sir.
वो कहते हैं कि just one last thing. They say that there are three things required for success. अब मुझे उन तीन में से शायद दो याद हो. One is तीनों याद आ गई. Sorry. One is mindset. You have to have the right mindset.
Yes.
Second is अगर mindset हो और skills ना हो, tools ना आते हो, तो you can't do anything. So
Yes.
second is tools, and the third is network. So
Exactly.
that's the power of network. If you are connected with the right kind of people, with the right mindset and tools, your efforts will be multiplied. And you can achieve success.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही. So, sir, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you, and personally, I have learned a lot in these last 30 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Stay safe and Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Allah.